This video presents the historical development of idealism in education, together with the key thinkers and their respective contributions. The history of idealism in education is a journey through humanity's enduring search for truth, goodness, and beauty. By tracing its development across time, we see how each thinker reinterpreted the role of reason, morality, and the inner self in learning. This exploration reveals that education at its best has always been an act of cultivating the soul in the process of becoming more fully human. Let's start with Plato, who is regarded as the father of idealism. During his time, idealism emerged as a reaction against relativism, emphasizing the existence of eternal truths and values beyond sensory experience. Plato laid the metaphysical foundation of idealism and identified education as the means of achieving virtue and wisdom. His model of moral and intellectual cultivation continues to inspire liberal and humanistic education. For him, reality exists in the realm of ideas or forms, which are perfect and unchanging. The material world is only a reflection of these ideals, and true knowledge comes through reason and intellectual insight. For him, education must guide the soul toward truth and the good. It should develop the mind and moral character through a structured curriculum of mathematics, philosophy, music, and physical training. Though not really an advocate of idealism, we have here Aristotle, who provide a bridge between idealism and realism. During his time, idealism was being reconciled with realism, and thinkers sought to balance the world of ideas with observable reality. Aristotle preserved the rational and moral dimension of idealism while grounding it in empirical inquiry. His emphasis on purposeful learning influenced the ethical and developmental focus of later education. Aristotle emphasized rational purpose, where everything has an inherent end or goal. He believed that knowledge arises from both experience and reason. He believed that education should aim for balanced development, which includes physical, moral, and intellectual. Virtue is then cultivated through habit of rational reflection. Let's introduce Saint Augustine. During his time, idealism became spiritualized with Christian theology, centering truth in the divine mind of God. Saint Augustine gave idealism a religious and moral direction, turning education into a means of spiritual enlightenment and personal transformation that shaped medieval Christian schooling. Augustine combined Plato's theory of eternal ideas with Christian thought, asserting that true knowledge is illumination from God and that the soul is superior to the body. He believed that education should lead the learner closer to God and eternal truth, emphasizing moral training, introspection, and spiritual study. Saint Thomas Aquinas also gave contribution to idealism. During his time, idealism was institutionalized in Christian education through scholasticism, merging philosophy and theology. Saint Aquinas made idealism compatible with rational inquiry, giving it intellectual stability within religious institutions. His approach sustained idealist values in European education for centuries. Saint Aquinas synthesized Aristotelian reason and Christian faith, asserting that both lead to the same truth, and rational inquiry and revelation complement one another. He believed that education aims to harmonize reason and faith, encouraging disciplined thought through logic, moral reflection, and theological study. Another key thinker is a mathematician named René Descartes. During his time, idealism entered a rational and scientific phase, focusing on human reason as the foundation of certainty. Descartes shifted idealism toward methodical reasoning and intellectual independence. His emphasis on rational thought paved the way for modern scientific and philosophical foundation. Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Descartes held that the thinking mind is the source of all truth and reality. For him, education should train the mind through logic, mathematics, and systematic reasoning. Doubt and inquiry are essential to intellectual clarity. Immanuel Kant is an advocate of critical idealism. During his time, idealism matured into a critical philosophy, emphasizing human reason as active in shaping knowledge and morality. Kant redefined idealism as moral and intellectual self-cultivation, influencing liberal education's focus on ethical and rational growth. For him, the mind organizes experience through innate structures, and reality is partly a construction of reason. Human freedom and morality are grounded in rational autonomy. For him, education should develop moral reasoning and critical judgment, guiding learners toward autonomy and ethical responsibility. We also have Johann Gottlieb Fichte. During his time, idealism took on a national and ethical dimension, linking education to social and moral progress. Fichte gave idealism a social purpose, viewing education as a moral force for a national unity and ethical citizenship, which is an idea that influenced public education in Europe. Fichte emphasized that the self constructs reality through moral action and consciousness. For him, education should shape the ethical will, building unity, discipline, and civic responsibility through national education. An advocate of dialectical idealism, which is either absolute or objective idealism, we have here G.W.F. Hegel. During his time, idealism became the dominant European philosophy, focusing on reason, culture, and historical development. Hegel established education as a cultural and moral process, influencing liberal humanistic and state educational systems by linking personal freedom with social progress. For him, reality is a dialectical process which involves the unfolding of the world spirit towards self-realization and freedom. For him, education is the means of self-realization through cultural participation, moral development, and historical understanding. An advocate of transcendentalist idealism, we have Ralph Waldo Emerson. During his time, idealism was adapted to the democratic and individualistic spirit of American thought, focusing on self-reliance and personal spirituality. Emerson transformed idealism into a personal and democratic philosophy of growth, inspiring progressive and humanistic education centered on individuality and moral self-expression. For him, the divine truth resides within the individual, discoverable through intuition and inner reflection. For him, education should nurture creativity, moral independence, and inner freedom, encouraging learners to trust their intuition and conscience. Reaching towards the educational idealism in the US, we have here William Torrey Harris. During his time, idealism was institutionalized in American education through liberal arts and moral instruction. Harris solidified idealism's role in public education, shaping curricula that balance intellectual training with ethical and cultural development. For him, the universe and society are expressions of rational and moral order. For him, education should advocate a liberal arts curriculum that cultivated moral character, civic virtue, and appreciation of human culture. For the present continuing influence of idealism in education, idealism continues to shape modern education through its emphasis on values, moral education, and intellectual cultivation. Liberal arts curricula, character education programs, and philosophical inquiry in schools reflect their focus on developing the mind and spirit. The belief that education should nurture truth, beauty, and goodness endures in contemporary discussions on ethics, citizenship, and the humanities. Idealism, though transformed over centuries, continues to remind us that education is more than preparation for work. It is preparation for life. It urges teachers and learners alike to seek what is true, noble, and enduring, nurturing not only intellect but also character and purpose. As we face modern educational challenges, revisiting the idealist tradition invites us to reaffirm the deeper mission of education, that is, the formation of thoughtful, ethical, and enlightened individuals. This has been the historical development of idealism in education. For more helpful videos in related education courses, you may subscribe to this channel. Thank you in advance.